Brannon from Computer Magazine, and I'm talking to Tiziana Margaria from the University of Potsdam in Germany. Tiziana is one of the guest editors of the Computer November 2013 special issue on simplicity and IT. Tiziana, what was the impetus behind creating a special issue on simplicity and the ITSI project?
The idea for this special issue on simplicity in IT came from a project that we had for over 1 year, for 15 months, funded by the European Commission as a support action in the Future and Emerging Technologies program concerning what we called ITSI, so IT and simplicity, with the idea that the people that are not specialists in IT should finally find the kind of technology that helps them to be productive and to do whatever they need, whatever they want in their profession or in their life, without the need to become first a specialist in IT. I mean, my background is service engineering and software engineering, so it is on one side the very complex kind of software that goes into systems, but also a little bit the quest for trying to simplify, disintermediate as possible at least the initial parts of the definition of software. Software is now pervasive, it's everywhere, and if we really want to have a digital society that is inclusive for everybody, we cannot expect that everybody is going to become a skilled programmer, knowing everything about the platforms and all these aspects of the deep IT. And out of that came the idea of just going around and asking colleagues and finding out what is the feeling today in the community about this simplicity as a value for deep IT.
How does simplicity fit into IT? And can you say something about the authors of the other papers?
We started to go and visit different communities in the area of IT, mostly computer science and systems engineering, trying to find out what was the feeling of the researchers, trying to reach out to researchers in industry, and try to reach out also at industry itself in order to find what is the level of conscience about simplicity as a driving value. And it turned out actually that it is quite interesting because it is a little bit like beauty, you know. If you see it, you recognize it. Everybody has more or less already had encounters with true examples of simplicity, but for some reason it has not become a codified value with a proper definition or with, canons, with a specific canonic form, with actions and rules to follow. So it's still, very much valued on one side. On the other hand side, it is something that is brought into projects and into products more or less as a byproduct. And out of this came the selection of a couple of colleagues and people that became then the contributors to this special issue, trying to attract contributions that span several aspects of this deep IT that a non-computer scientist or a non-system engineer doesn't even probably know that exists. Like, for instance, issues in the component libraries, interface of component libraries, the importance of compositionality, for instance, or issues in platforms, how to enforce, how to make sure that compatibility can allow to reuse the artifacts in combination with different tools or in combination with different artifacts, guaranteeing a long life of these platforms.
What are the risks in IT development?
One of the most central risks that I've seen in my in my work with startups and with companies that base on ideas rather than products is basically the big risk and the big upfront investment that they have in choosing platforms, basically in betting to the future, so to say, that those platforms, those technologies are not going to die within 1 or 2 years, but are going to become, to stay in the landscape. And then basically with more ideas and enthusiasm than IT skills, try to work with these things, with these black boxes, so to say, from the outside, maybe with the help of some, often some students who also don't have decades of experience in the field. And so, I think that many ideas that could be good products, could be useful for the people in the society, at the end don't make it to rightness, don't make it to success, just because there is such a high hurdle into entering technologies. And even APIs and so on are not so helpful, because basically they are done for programmers, for other programmers, right? So this is one of the things that we wanted to address.
What application domains do you see being impacted by simplicity in IT design?
There are several application domains in which this would make a huge difference. One of these is, for instance, in the healthcare industry. Frequenting in the couple of last years a little bit the community of the emergency medicine, emergency department, and the disaster management doctors. These people are craving desperately for a simpler way of sharing information, of having different modes of accessing information. So there is a normal mode, and then there are exceptional modes. If you are in a situation like in Haiti or in after Katrina, or after some earthquake, or in some disaster like the Boston Marathon or something, it is human and it is natural that you should be able to access more information. Okay, the IT system should be able to do this. They should be reconfigurable. They should know about the fact that whether you are doing operations as usual or whether it is an emergency, for instance. And the sad reality is that still we have a lot of silos in the healthcare domain. And so there is, for instance, one contribution by Professor Herzlinger from Harvard and other colleagues, who is basically, in a very short contribution, criticizing the state of the art as being far behind the state of the art of computer science today and system building today, information systems. So it is not only a quest for a brilliant future, it's also an attempt to bring some vertical markets of today that are important to the entire society to become up to date with what actually is today already known, used, and even commercially available.
What new techniques do you believe would be helpful in designing systems based on simplicity?
One of the paradigms that are helpful in this direction is the entire movement about agility, around agility and around ecosystems, because that really exposes the total cost of ownership in such a way that everybody that is involved in the creation of an IT system understands in a transparent way what is happening, why it is happening, and what are the consequences for this. And so I really think that it would be important to bring this concept not only in the universities where we are training the new professionals, but also in the training programs that address different professions, in order to create a common vocabulary, so to say, of how to work together.
Thank you very much.